Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, His Excellency Dato' Lim Jokhoi, Secretary-General of the ASEAN, His Excellency Igor Drismans, Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN, His Excellency Noel Servion, Permanent Representative of the Philippines to ASEAN, Permanent Representatives of ASEAN member states, Ambassadors of the EU member states, ASEAN Secretariat, and EU delegation colleagues, representatives of EU projects in ASEAN. Good afternoon and welcome to the launch of the ASEAN-EU Blue Book 2022 and the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo. My name is Nabila Ernada and it is an honor to be here with you today. Every year, the delegation of the European Union to ASEAN publishes its flagship publication to highlight the ASEAN-EU cooperation and how this cooperation impacts the lives of ASEAN citizens. This year, we are commemorating the 45th year of the ASEAN-EU relations, and this year's Blue Book showcases what this cooperation means and what ASEAN and the EU can achieve together. Kicking off the launch event, I would kindly invite the Secretary-General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dato' Lim Jokhoi, to deliver his opening remarks. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
His Excellency Igor Drismans, Ambassadors of the European Union to ASEAN, His Excellency Noel Servion, Permanent Representative of the Philippines to ASEAN, Ambassadors to ASEAN member states, EU Ambassadors, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome Your Excellencies and distinguished guests to the ASEAN Secretariat to the launching of the EU-ASEAN Blue Book 2022. This year's edition is particularly special as it marks a landmark year for both ASEAN and EU as we celebrate the 45th anniversary of the ASEAN-EU dialogue relations and the 55th anniversary of the founding of the ASEAN. I therefore would like to congratulate the EU for its efforts to this end. Over the past 45 years, the EU has always been a great supporter of ASEAN community building efforts, and we appreciate their unwavering commitment to strengthen ASEAN-EU relations and for providing significant support to ASEAN through various cooperation programs and initiatives. Over the years, our partnership expanded to include dialogue and engagements, spanning various areas of cooperations, and our economic cooperation also continues to be robust, with the EU being the third largest foreign investors in ASEAN, as well as the region's third largest trading partners. Our close collaboration has also resulted in the conclusion of negotiation of the ASEAN-EU Comprehensive Air Transport Agreement, CATA. The AE CATA will not only contribute to the strengthening of trade, investment, and tourism, but also to people-to-people linkages across the board. As partners in regional integration, we are committed to working together for mutual solutions, multilateral solutions, and jointly address the COVID-19 pandemic as its recovery efforts. To this end, ASEAN very much value the EU mobilization of a Team Europe package of over 800 million euro to address the spread of the disease and mitigate the impact in ASEAN regions, among other initiatives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the breadth and depth of our cooperation across the political, security, economic and social cultural pillar stands testament to the EU's continued commitment to collaborating with the ASEAN to promote a more integrated ASEAN community. This can be observed through several EU-supported development cooperation programs, which include the ASEAN Regional Integration Support for the EU-ASEAN Plus, Enhanced Regional EU-ASEAN Dialogue Instruments, E-Ready, the Sustainable Use of Peatland and Haze Mitigation in ASEAN, SUPA, Biodiversity Conservation and Management of Protected Area in ASEAN, PCAM, and EU support to the higher education in the ASEAN region, EU Share, as well as the Team Europe Green Initiative for ASEAN and the ASEAN Smart Green Cities programs. These programs has contributed significantly to helping ASEAN promote sustainable development, especially among our youth, and they have also increased ASEAN capacity to address regional challenges, including climate change and disasters management. As a strategic partnership, ASEAN looks forward to not only intensifying cooperation with the EU, but also strengthening resilience, upholding regional and global peace based on shared value and common interests, restoring confidence in the free trade and rule-based multilateralism, and working towards sustainable development for the benefit of our people. As we celebrate the 45th anniversary of the ASEAN-EU relations, we look forward to a successful ASEAN-EU commemorative summit later this year in Brussels, where our leaders are expected to set the direction to take our partnership to a greater height. I'd like to once again congratulate our colleagues from EU as also ASEAN for this momentous event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary-General. For our next speaker, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Igor Drismans, Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN. Your Excellency, please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. His Excellency Dato' Lim Jock Hoi, Secretary-General of ASEAN, Excellency Noel Serbigon, representative of the Philippines, my country coordinator, the chair, all the members of the Committee of Permanent Representatives, EU ambassadors. Thank you for facing the traffic, the post-COVID traffic, and being here today. Officials, representatives from our EU projects, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me join the Secretary-General in welcoming you. Very happy to see you all here for this launch of our 2022 Blue Book and ASEAN-EU Cooperation Virtual Expo. The European Union may be the youngest strategic partner of ASEAN. As I sometimes like to say, we're also one of the most comprehensive strategic partners, as today we see in the Blue Book that you will receive at the end of today's event. This year we can proudly say that we're building on 45 years of shared engagement, anchored by our shared values, our shared interests, an engagement with as many as 20 different dialogues, spanning from circular economy over construction standards to transnational crime, all bringing together tangible benefits for the citizens of Europe and Southeast Asia alike. It's also an engagement at high political level. Over the last year, High Representative Borrell was here, Vice President Timmermans was here, meeting with you, Secretary-General, meeting with the CPR, all in order to advance our cooperation. It's also an engagement that is, to us, of key strategic importance. Last year's visits, along with the Indo-Pacific strategy, recognized the center of the world's gravity is here in the Indo-Pacific in general, and in ASEAN in particular, as you are located at the heart of the Indo-Pacific. In fact, our Indo-Pacific strategy mentions ASEAN 31 times. It's a recognition of our willingness to engage with ASEAN at the center of all we do in this vast region. But the importance of our partnership goes well beyond the Indo-Pacific. The world becoming an ever more complex, and as the Russian aggression in Ukraine has shown, a more violent place. Our world needs the EU and ASEAN to remain anchors of stability, of multilateralism, of free and fair trade. The 2023-2027 Plan of Action will chart the way forward for our medium-term cooperation, and the commemorative summit will, for the first time, bring together leaders of the 27 EU member states and the ASEAN leaders for what will be a historic summit. The preparations for the summit and the negotiations of the Plan of Action will require a good deal of time, effort, and maybe even patience, but I'm sure that all of us agree that they bear much potential for what we see as the bright future of our strategic partnership. Now, turning to the Blue Book, we're proud that the 7th edition of this flagship publication yet again provides the best factual and yet reader-friendly way of presenting everything that we, EU and member states, do together with ASEAN. The Blue Book is getting longer every year, 135 pages this year, with lots of examples of our partnership, including our joint struggle against COVID-19, our cooperation to ensure a green and sustainable transition, connectivity, Secretary-General mentioned comprehensive air transport agreements, trade, safe migration, climate change, education, research, you name it. One particularly interesting feature I find of the Blue Book this year is its focus on individual stories, the stories behind our projects, the stories behind the likes of the RISE Plus, EU Ready, EU Saha, EU Share, SUPA, all these projects, and to look behind those acronyms and see the practitioners, the beneficiaries, and what it means to EU and ASEAN citizens. I'm also happy that the Blue Book again displays the programs and projects of EU member states, showing our EU team effort yet again. As I said, printouts of the Blue Book will be distributed to you later, and the publication itself will be also made available online. I trust that you will find it useful and enlightening. Last but not least, I would like to say a word about the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Virtual Expo, which we're also jointly launching today, and which will run until the end of this year. The activity enables participants to visit 15 virtual booths of EU-ASEAN cooperation projects and learn about their activities and outcome. In short, it's kind of a virtual extension of the Blue Book that you will receive on paper. Before concluding, allow me to express a few words of gratitude to the ASEAN Secretariat for hosting this event today, and for the excellent collaboration, as always, the permanent mission of the Philippines to ASEAN for their support and friendship, our member states for contributing to this book as well, team leaders and colleagues of EU-ASEAN projects for their hard and meaningful work, and of course our communication and visibility project team for putting together the Blue Book and the virtual expo. In conclusion, please allow me to remind you that the stories of 2023 are already being written. With this year's anniversary, the incoming Plan of Action, the commemorative summit ahead of us, I'm certain that our 8th edition will be even better and maybe even a thicker Blue Book next year. I hope that you are looking forward to what is ahead of us as much as I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would now like to invite Permanent Representative of the Philippines to ASEAN, Ambassador Noel. Apologies, Ambassador Noel Servillon to share his opening remarks.
Your Excellency, Dato Lim Jokoy, Secretary-General of ASEAN, Your Excellency, Igor Rismans, Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN, Your Excellencies, the Chairman and my fellow members of the Committee of Permanent Representatives to ASEAN, Your Excellencies, Heads of Missions of EU member states and their representatives, members of the CPR Working Group and representatives of EU member states and the EU delegation to ASEAN, colleagues from the ASEAN Secretariat, distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen. As country coordinator in Jakarta of the ASEAN-EU Dialogue Relations, I am honored to join the ASEAN Secretary-General Lim Jokoy and the EU Ambassador to ASEAN, Igor Rismans, in welcoming all of you to the launch of the ASEAN-EU Blue Book 2022 and the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo 2022. I still remember, more than 2 years ago, we had the 27th meeting of the ASEAN-EU Joint Cooperation Committee in this Nusantara Hall, where we are now. It was just before the lockdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. I am grateful now that we can meet each other physically. Perhaps for more than half of us here, it will be the first time to know each other personally. Despite the global slowdown caused by the COVID pandemic, our dialogue relations have remained vibrant, as shown in this year's Blue Book. The most significant of these activities are related to the assistance provided by the EU and its member states to ASEAN to overcome the pandemic. The ASEAN-EU Blue Book captures the activities and major accomplishments of ASEAN-EU cooperation programs under all these ASEAN community pillars, demonstrating how strategic partnership forged by ASEAN and the EU remains relevant, timely, and meaningful. The array of programs that our partnership has developed through the years continues to impress me personally. ASEAN welcomes the continued policy dialogues and cooperation with the EU, including those through the support of the E-READY, the Enhanced Regional EU-ASEAN Dialogue Instrument. We acknowledge EU support to the ASEAN Economic Community through the ARISE Plus, the ASEAN Regional Integration Support Program. We value the EU support to higher education in the ASEAN region through the SHARE program, which enhances internationalization of ASEAN higher education, including through increased mobility for university students through intra-ASEAN dialogue and scholarships. I would like to highlight the Biodiversity Conservation and Management of Protected Areas, or BCAMP, which has an important role in preventing the emergence of new zoonotic diseases. Together with this Blue Book, we are also presenting to you the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo 2022. It is a virtual exhibition of ASEAN-EU development cooperation projects, which I hope would encourage the various sectors in the ASEAN community to be more involved in our partnership. ASEAN and EU colleagues, the year 2022 is a milestone year for ASEAN and the EU, as our two regional organizations collaborate and celebrate 45 years of dialogue relations. Moreover, this year is also the 55th year of the Bangkok Declaration, which established the ASEAN and also the 65th year of the Treaty of Rome that established the European Economic Community, EU's precursor. This year, we are also negotiating a new plan of action for the period 2023 to 2027, which would provide a roadmap and set the direction for our new strategic partnership. We believe that our common understanding of our respective roles in the Indo-Pacific would translate into more collaborative projects between the two blocs. ASEAN and EU friends, as we read our accomplishments in the Blue Book, I hope that we will be inspired to conceptualize and implement more activities and projects that would further enhance our partnership. The success of the collaboration of ASEAN and EU as the two most advanced regional blocs in the world could serve as a model of partnership for other groupings around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The ASEAN-EU Blue Book is now in its 7th edition and contains not only highlights of the EU's development programs, but also programs from EU member states in the region. ASEAN-EU cooperation span across political and security sector, economic, green growth and the environment, safe migration, and also on education, research, and capacity building. For the 35 years, this cooperation has been apologies. For the past 45 years, this cooperation has been based on trust, solidarity, and a shared commitment to free and fair trade, sustainable development, multilateralism, peace, and security. Please allow me to share a short highlight of the publication. I would now like to invite His Excellency Dato Jokowi, His Excellency Igor Drismans, and His Excellency Noel Servion back onto the stage to formally unveil the ASEAN-EU Blue Book 2022. We will begin the countdown in 3, 2, 1. Please welcome the ASEAN-EU Blue Book 2022. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Can we get one round of photo? 2022 is a special year for the ASEAN-EU relations. I would like to invite His Excellency Dato Lim Jokowi, Ambassador Igor Drismans, and Ambassador Noel Servion to officially launch the first ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo, which provides a cohesive picture of ASEAN-EU cooperation. Your Excellencies, we can start counting down in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Your Excellency. You may return back to your seat. The ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo features EU projects in ASEAN and will also host a series of events until the end of the year. The expo is open for public and provides a cohesive picture of ASEAN-EU cooperation. We invite you to take the time to visit the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo and share the information about the expo with your counterparts and stakeholders. We have prepared an additional short video featuring some highlights of EU projects in ASEAN. Now that the Expo is officially live, we invite you to take the time to visit the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo, which will be available until the end of the year. The Expo features EU projects in ASEAN and will also host a series of events until the end of the year. More information is available on the Expo and will also be made available on the EU in ASEAN social media channels. I would now kindly invite Secretary-General Lim Jock-hoi, Ambassador Igor Drismans, Ambassador Noel Servion, permanent representatives of ASEAN member states, and ambassadors of the EU member states to join us on stage for a group photo. The first picture will be with the mask on. And for the second photo with mask off. And lastly, the ASEAN way. Yes, with the hands across. Thank you, Your Excellencies. You may return to your seats. As we conclude the launch event of the ASEAN-EU Blue Book 2022 and the ASEAN-EU Cooperation Expo, we would like to thank you for your presence and for sharing this moment with us. We wish you a pleasant remainder of the day and an enjoyable review of the publication. Thank you and good afternoon.